marketer on LinkedIn for the APAC region, which is
an entrepreneur that has been disrupting the lead generation industry through the world's
Nathanial
largest
Bibby is an entrepreneur disrupting the way businesses generate leads online.
Joined by marketing consultant Nathanial Bibby of Bibby Consulting Group. Nathanial actually just won the best marketer on LinkedIn for the APAC.
Social media marketing award last year was recognised by the industry as LinkedIn Marketer of the Year. His name's Nathanial Bibby, and he joins us now. How are you doing? I'm good. How are you? I'm very well.
All right. Enough of that stuff. Jeez, how's it going? Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Monday Night Live Q&A. Well, we have got a pretty exciting lineup tonight. Oh, look at this. First one in the chat, Michelle Bibby. Thanks for being here. Nico, hey, mate, how you doing? Welcome, guys. So, as always, this is very interactive, Monday Night Live. You can drop in the comments. Let us know which city you're tuning in from, and we'll make this as interactive as possible. It is a Q&A where we have two guests jumping into the hot seat to talk about their LinkedIn questions, their goals, going to have some breakthroughs, perhaps, I hope. And you guys are welcome also to drop your questions in the comments. I will stay here as long as it takes to answer all the questions, even if I'm here till midnight. I think the limit on LinkedIn is 4 hours long, and I haven't got close to that yet, so we'll see how we go. Drop in the comments, guys. Say hello. I know we've got guys on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. If you're just joining us, drop in the chat and say hello. Before I bring in the first guest, I just want to say that with LinkedIn, like I've done a lot of coaching over the years, over the last 11 years, at live events and also one-on-one. And sometimes, you know, we see a technical problem, or we see one thing might be the issue, and sometimes it can be something else. So you'll notice that whenever we go through the coaching tonight, sometimes I'm going to dig a little bit deeper to find out if we're solving the real issue. And so it's a little bit different to what I was originally planning. I was going to have 5 or 6 people on and ask the questions, and we kind of go through them one by one. What I decided to do was actually make it a bit more focused. And so I've got 2 guests tonight. I've got Storm and Jeff, who have been stepped up. They've been incredibly brave to come on here and do this in public. But I think, first of all, they're going to get a lot of value out of it. And so will you guys, hopefully, in the comments. It's a bit of a smaller or more intimate audience tonight. And the reason for that is, you'll notice that when I'm promoting these things, we always have this big headline of like what the result is, the big title and the thumbnail, which is a bit hard to do when you haven't got the outcome yet. But I think this will be one of the most valuable kinds of formats for Monday Night Live. And I intend to do these once every month. I think they're going to be really valuable. They're always really popular when I do them live. And I think they're going to be a great addition to LinkedIn Live. I don't think we've seen this thing before. How you going? South Africa in the house. Michael, thanks for being here, buddy. Okay, guys, I am going to bring on our first guest, Mr. Gordon. Jeff Gordon, welcome.
Oh, thanks, Nathaniel. I met Nathaniel many years ago, and I've been following him ever since. Professionally, he's coached me, and we've become good friends. And I'm very passionate about LinkedIn, like Nathaniel. And I consider I'm a keen golfer, and I consider LinkedIn like golf. You never master it. You can always keep learning. And I've learned a lot, but I'm still trying to test certain things that are not working. Yep. Some are working, and I'm just trying to improve myself. So my situation is I'm a finance manager looking to gain a role. Actually, LinkedIn started as a platform for job seekers, but probably it's now 90% to generate leads and sales. But I'm in the minority looking for a job on LinkedIn. So I'm hoping Nathaniel can look at my profile tonight, tear it into pieces, put it back together, and give me some great tips, and let the audience learn what he's telling me so they can implement the changes.
That's awesome. We got people from all over the place here tonight. How cool is this? Philippines, Perth, South Africa, Phuket, Thailand. People from all over the place. Jeff, thanks for sharing that with us. It's good to get some background. It's a bit of a different one, guys, than what I normally do is, focus on getting clients and getting leads. In this situation, it's about getting an employment opportunity. Now, the fundamentals are basically the same. I mean, the way that people make decisions and whether they decide to take a meeting or not, and their impression of you when you reach out to them. So, Jeff, what do you think is working well, and what do you think needs some work?
I think I look at the analytics, and there's lots of recruiters looking at my profile. I'm averaging 50 to 150 views every day. I post every day. I love writing and expressing myself, and everyone says your stuff's good. But for some reason, the people who make the decisions in employing people are either not looking at my posts, or they like what I write but don't take any action. So I'm just not sure why I'm not getting more responses. My connection requests are not working as I would have liked. I'm only probably averaging 10 to 20%, should be more. My messaging, a lot of people don't reply. So I've still got a few things that are not working.
Yep. And what about your profile?
Well, I've changed it a lot, and I've followed all the experts of all the do's and don'ts. And I personally think it's pretty good. But you're an expert, and you probably know better than me. You know, maybe it's not that great. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. So what sort of role are you looking for?
So a finance manager with an SME, a smaller company, where I can get involved in the coalface of the business. You know, I've got certain industries I like. So
okay, what are they?
So I like import distribution, online e-commerce, transport logistics, service industry, consumer products. They're the main ones I like.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're getting about 10 to 15% conversion rate when you send out invitations, a couple hundred views when you post on a daily basis, but not necessarily the right type of people. But recruiters are looking at your profile, but you're not getting any conversions. So that tells me, and I do everything based on results. You know, if recruiters are looking at your profile and they're not contacting you, it tells me that something's not right with the profile. And do you remember last week, Jeff, when I did I think it was last week, the Monday Night Live on storytelling? And I asked everyone, you know, whether people make decisions based on logic or emotion. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
And so what do you think the answer is? Well, you know the answer now.
I asked someone, and they believe recruiters every day spend a little bit of time just fishing, just having a look. That they're not seriously looking to recruit someone. They're just checking a few profiles. So maybe that's a possibility. Maybe I don't match the skills and experience of the job they got. I'm not sure. I've never actually, because you don't know, the recruiters are all anonymous. They deliberately do that. So you don't even know who the recruiter is.
Yeah. Okay. I would love to try something with you. But you know, on the basis that, you know, people make decisions based on emotion and then they justify it with logic. So when you're applying for a job, a resume is very different to a profile on LinkedIn, for example. And I do think, you know, it's important, obviously, to put the right information in your resume and CV and in your LinkedIn profile. But in terms of the first impression that you get when you land on the profile, it's all emotion. And I think that, you know, you could shift this profile to, because when somebody, let me start again. So when somebody's deciding whether to accept a connection request, what is it that you think that they're basing that decision on?
Well, it's interesting. I've had a few people say to me, what's in it for me?
Yep.
So they're basically saying, why should I connect with you? What am I going to gain from you? So you got to think like they think.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. So they're asking themselves, does this guy look like somebody valuable to connect with? Or does this guy look like he wants something from me? So it's either, am I going to get value from him, or is he going to get value from me? And so at the moment, like when you look at your profile, it does come across like you're trying to, prove your value, because there's a lot of information in there. And if you've ever had a look at, and I'm just throwing this out there, we'll have to try it to see if it works. But if you ever look at somebody's profile who's like, if we looked at Stephen Bartlett or President Obama, or somebody that's been really successful in their career, you'll notice one thing that's in common with all of their profiles. They're quite specific and short. I mean, those guys could put in more information than anyone, right? But they're very short, and what that portrays to the audience is confidence. And so when you land on this profile, it does seem like you're trying to justify your value. Yeah. Whereas what I would suggest doing, and this is mainly just with the top of it, is positioning yourself as the guy that people will want to connect with. You're the guy that solves problems. You're not the guy that's looking for a job opportunity necessarily. I mean, I know you are, but rather than thinking of it in a mindset of I'm seeking this opportunity, think of it more like I solve these financial problems, and I'm in high demand, and position yourself like that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I tend to agree that there needs to be some changes to focus on something that's more catchy, and I don't know, just something that would interest them more.
Yeah. So I would suggest, because I did jot down some notes because I wanted to make sure that you got the value you needed from this. So the main things here are going to be the three most important things when people land on your profile are your headshot, your headline, what it says in the bit below your name, and your cover photo. So the headshot and the headline is what people are going to see when you send them a connection request immediately. If they go to the next step of looking at your profile, the first thing they're going to see is the cover photo. So those are the three areas that I think we should look at. And we'll start with the headline. So I would suggest putting something in there about the value that you provide. So what I jotted down here, let's have a look. What did I jot down? So I jotted down, and I've got a couple of ideas, but one of them was helping companies increase profitability and reduce risk. And then CFO and finance strategy expert. Something like that.
Yeah.
Or it could be CFO level financial leadership, driving profitability and sustainable growth. I mean, you're like an outsourced CFO, really. But I think it needs to be some value statement rather than just putting keywords in there.
Yeah. That
sort of thing, did work well as 8 or 9 years ago, and I used to do the same thing. But that's when LinkedIn profiles were showing up for keywords at the top of Google. These days, that doesn't really make too much difference. So you must be better off putting the value that you provide in there. So that's number one. The second thing, the background photo. So my thoughts on this my instincts are on this is that it just comes across a little bit lower end, if that makes sense, like the colors and the diagonal lines going out. It just looks little bit less professional. Like, I think we should be looking at positioning yourself as more of a high-end businessman.
Yeah.
So making it seem a lot more clean, professional, and even the colors that you're using. And same thing with the headline, just while we're on here with the emojis, those sort of things, emotionally, when people come to land on this profile, it kind of lowers the status a little bit.
Okay.
All right. How am I going so far? Have I
have
I pissed you off yet?
No. I'm always looking to learn and listen, and yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Now, what are your thoughts on the photograph?
Oh, look, I think it's fine. I don't think it's going to make or break me.
What I was thinking, right, was, and I don't know if this photograph is, I know it seems decent resolution. It seems like a high enough resolution. Do you know how big this image is?
No, I'm not sure how many centimeters.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I'm just trying to, because when I looked at it on my phone, it just looked really blur, like not very clear. No, it seems okay here. It must have just been my phone. See, I could imagine, like the way I picture it is you've got a very clean, professional background photo that might just have your value statement in it. And then I think with the photograph, you want to do something that stands out, because at the moment it looks a little bit like, if you were going to look at a real estate catalog, it's like every real estate agent, has a photograph like that. What I would think is worth doing is standing out. So now, question, with the suit and tie, is that what you generally wear if you were going to work at your dream job?
Not these days, no.
Okay. All right. Well, I think it might be worth doing one in a bit more casual setup, like a shirt and a blazer or something like that.
Yeah.
And it would be pretty cool, I was thinking, to have like the city in the background to make it stand out, like be outside, be a bit different. Whether it's, you could go down to, what's it called in Melbourne? Is it Penny Lane with all the graffiti and stuff? That's one way you could do it. You could go down to to South Bank there and have the river and the city in the background. But something like that, as long as, and it has to be high quality, would really make your profile stand out, and you'd look different, and you would look more approachable.
Yeah.
And that combined with really confident headline and a cover photo at the background that looks really clean and professional would just increase your status that bit more, which would make people think, oh yeah, I want to connect with this guy. He looks important.
And what about the 4 messages? Take them out, or and just
4 messages in the
banner. Just have one headline message.
Yeah, I would just have the line that you've got at the top there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So, the colors that you want to look at are going to be, I think the white text works, but you want a real big contrast. So make the background either black or a dark blue.
Yeah.
Blue creates trust, but it needs to be, a strong, confident dark blue.
The main thing I was thinking of changing is under my name.
Yep.
Is go that what a lot of people do is I help such and such solve this by doing that.
Exactly. Yeah. Helping companies increase profitability and reduce risk. CFO and finance strategy expert.
I was thinking of taking out a whole lot of words and putting in a sentence.
Yep. Sounds good. Well, yeah, I think I have a go at it. And if you'd make those changes this week, it'd be great to touch base in, a month's time and see if it's made a difference to the conversion rates on your connection requests.
Yeah.
And with the content side of things, and I think that you're posting every day is great. What you need to do there is be posting about things that show off your expertise. So what you want to do is think about, the problems that you solve and create content around that. So the problems that you solve, the frustrations that those sort of businesses have, and then coming up with topics that answer, each individual question one by one. Just one point per post. And then after that, you just focus on the formatting. So have a strong hook, never more than 8 words long, one line that grabs people's attention and makes them want to read more.
Yep.
Today was a great example. Jeff shared Monday Night Live this afternoon and said, I'm jumping on Monday Night Live with Nathaniel. And then in the third paragraph, he said, oh, by the way, Nathaniel's advice helped me get 16,000 views on one of my posts. And I saw it and I wrote to Jeff, I was like, that should be the hook. But doing something like that to create that curiosity will make people want to read the rest of the post. And then you just tie it with professional looking images that tie in with your new sort of positioning. And that'll you want to be positioning yourself as an expert with everything you're doing on LinkedIn, and giving that high end feel to it. Excuse me. I think that'll make the world of difference. So I hope that was helpful so far. Did you have any other specific questions that you wanted me to cover?
No, I think that covers. That's a lot to start off with, and there's a few other minor things, but that's covers most of it. Yeah.
Excellent. Good to see all the comments coming in. Hey, PJ, how are you, mate? Good to see you here. It's nice to see some familiar faces over in New South Wales. Examples of a more professional background photo. Yeah, I think that with that one, you just want to look at people in your industry that are already doing, already successful on LinkedIn, and there's loads of them out there. And if you want to look at, guys like Stephen Bartlett and Gary V and those sort of guys, I mean, they're doing the things that they're doing for a big reason, and they normally have a team of 20 odd people working on this sort of stuff. So we can learn a lot from them, and people will often look at it and dismiss it and say, oh, well, that's because they're Gary V. Well, there's a reason that he's Gary V, and it's because he knows what he's doing when it comes to positioning. So we might need to do a little bit more in terms of educating the audience about our value proposition, but the principles about emotion and confidence, they apply to everyone. So, Jeff, you might want to look at, who are successful CFOs or finance guys in the Melbourne market even, and having a look at their background photos for an example of what to do. I mean, there's loads of them that you could have a look at, but in the finance industry, you'll notice they're very clean, very professional, very high end, and that gives people that emotional feel like this guy's a serious corporate man.
Yep.
It's not the same in every industry. Images with post. Yep. Always. I love images with post, even when the text statistically did better. It's a great way to capture people's attention, and you drive some emotion with images. It's a lot easier to do it visually than it is from reading text. So always remember, it's 80% emotion, 20% logic. And the logic part comes after the emotion. So, if you're doing a post, that's right at the top of the funnel. It's pretty much all emotional. People come to the profile. Yes, they want a little bit more logic there, but it's still emotional. When they get to the point where they're reviewing a proposal, that's when you can hit them with all the detail for sure. But up until then, you've got to be just drip feed people as information so that you don't overwhelm them.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Jeff. So what's the plan? Going to implement this in the next week, do you think?
Oh, I hope. Yeah, I'll start working on it. Yeah.
I'll be keeping an eye on your profile, mate.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being here, Jeff. We'll say good night. Did you catch that, Jeff?
Yep. All good.
All right. See you, mate.
No, I'll keep listening.
Okay. We'll just pop you out so I can bring Storm in. So, Storm, how are you tonight?
Yeah, going really good. Nathaniel, yourself?
I'm good. Excited to have you on the show.
Me too. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
How's everything going with the business?
Really good, really good. I've been loving the Monday Night Lives. I'm a newbie to what you do, so I'm loving all the value that's coming out of Monday Night Live for sure.
Okay, great.
And been slowly implementing bits and pieces so far, which has been interesting to watch and see the results from. Yeah.
So tell people a bit about what you do.
Yeah. So I'm the founder of Nova X Solutions. I provide personal assistance to business owners, helping them reinvest their time and focus on success, whatever that might mean for them. I've also integrated wellbeing into my business by hosting wellness events every couple of months for business owners and professionals specifically. I've seen too many people in the corporate world burn out, and it's quite a concern. So I'm quite passionate about bringing more awareness to this particular topic and talking with people about it and my clients, ensuring they do have regular things in their calendar that they're doing to help with self-care. And you'll often find me talking about it on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. You've got a fan here. I love your hats. My mum says. Funny mum. Mum's up in Phuket at the moment, tuning in from her villa. Bless
Love
her.
it.
Okay, so where do you want to take this? What's the goal with your business? Where do you see it in 12 months?
Yeah, well, 12 months, gosh. I mean, even just 6 months. So I started the business mid-2023 and jumped full-time into it last year in April, and quickly became fully booked. So pretty much most of the time I'm running very close to fully booked. And then scalability is obviously a conversation and something that I'm working on to be able to scale the business. But in terms of LinkedIn, it's something I really do want to learn more about and leverage more for myself and for my clients, because that is something that my clients are very interested in getting into as well. So just really becoming educated a lot more in it. So that's when I found you.
Yeah. Okay. And so, what would scaling look like if we were to explore that idea, like bringing on assistants to work under you? Would it?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'm exploring and recently started outsourcing to a lovely girl overseas, more so for my own admin and my own business, so that I'm still the one dealing with my Perth clients.
Yeah.
So I'm starting with that just to get a feel for it, see if that's something that will work for me versus taking someone on here. So yeah, just playing with that at the minute.
Okay, cool. All right, sounds good. So what areas would you like to focus on today?
Yeah, in terms of LinkedIn, I have been obviously taking a lot of your suggestions so far and trying to implement that. I would love to be able to increase the amount of Perth-based people following me. I try to do that via providing value with productivity tips, with a bit of wellness reminders, and then obviously a bit about what I do, so it just doesn't seem salesy. I don't want to seem salesy, that my page is just about what I do. So trying to build that up more and trying to connect more with people and get that sort of Perth collaboration happening. And it'd be interesting to see what you say about how other ways I can do that. I know that premium upgrade keeps popping up, and I don't know whether that's something I should look into or not. So I'd love to hear thoughts on it.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, let's bring up your profile. Here we go. Here it is. Okay, so I've got to ask you, these 336. Oh, you've got 236 connections, 338 followers. Are you sending out connection requests regularly?
Not really. Not as often as what I should. I mainly do when I meet them in person. So I do a lot of Perth networking events and whatnot, and connect in person and then get them to follow that way. But I haven't done it specifically, just cold outreach, I guess.
Okay. All right. So I think that that's probably the most important part for you. Just looking at your profile, your background photo, your headline, your main photograph there, and your about section. I think you're doing pretty much everything right. You just need a bigger audience.
That's good.
Yeah. So what I'd suggest doing is not necessarily, I'm just going to bring this up here. So what I'd suggest doing is not necessarily cold connection requests, but coming up with a demographic of people that would be great to have in your network. And I know you Perth based, but what size business, what industries, and flesh that out with me now. Just throw a few at me. What sort of industries and company size do you think you'd want to connect with?
The small business space for sure. Currently, a lot of clients are either they're running a small company, or they're a sole trader, or it is a company that already have staff and they're looking for that extra support to kind of allocate specific tasks and specific projects to, which is where I come in.
Okay.
Or mainly corporate. Yep.
Okay, cool. So one of the things you could do, and you don't necessarily need premium for this, but I have a feeling like you'll probably want to upgrade at some point, because LinkedIn Premium allows you to target by certain filters that you don't have on the normal account, like company size is a big one. Another thing that Sales Navigator has, which is probably the main reason I have it, is you can narrow down by people that have posted recently, which is helpful because obviously you can then engage on their content, and when you reach out to connect with them, it can be more of a relevant connection request. So I'll give you an example. So for the last 10 years, I've run lead generation programs for businesses, and it's always been 3 steps. You find the right people. Targeting is very important. Then you can send them connection requests, and then you follow up to set an appointment. It's just 3 steps. And about mid last year, I was, and it doesn't work for every business. Sometimes it just, the business isn't right, the brand isn't right, or the industry isn't right. But most of the time it works really well. And about mid last year, there was a couple of clients, after they were with me for a couple of months, I was like, I'm not quite happy with these results. Like, they're not getting the results I expected. And I thought, LinkedIn has changed a lot in the last couple of years. It's become more competitive. There's more spam. There's more, loads of people sending connection requests. I think we need to change our approach a little bit. And, the conclusion I came to was, and you may have heard me talk about this a couple of weeks ago, when I talked about the new rules of lead generation on Monday Night Live, is to actually nurture that relationship before you send out the connection request. So if you did a search and you found, all these small business owners in Perth that have posted in the last 30 days, and you spent a bit of time, it does take some time, but you do get quicker at it. I know a guy that can comment on 200 posts in an hour, so you get quicker at it. And I'm nowhere near that, by the way. And I do not do that many posts a week either. But I do strategically comment on profiles that are in my second degree network that I don't know yet. And I do it in a strategic way to just add some value rather than just saying, great post or whatever. Thinking about what they've written and try and either go deeper on one point that they've mentioned, and maybe share an example, or just add another point, to consider. So what happens when you do that? There's a couple of things. First of all, the person that posted loves it, because people love getting comments on their posts. Works really well if they've only got 0 or 1 comment. And there's a lot of industries like that. And then you actually show up in their feed, and your comment shows up in your feed as well. So people should post on LinkedIn no more than once a day, but you can comment as much as you want. I mean, if you're posting more than once a day, it's just going to hurt your reach. Whereas you can comment on loads of people's posts. So if you think about every comment as like a mini post, very mini, because again, you don't want to spend a lot of time doing it, but and then you can reach out to connect with these people as well. Now there is a tool which I use for this called Aware. I've got the founder coming on Monday Night Live in a couple of weeks, and that allows you to create lists of people that you want to comment on their stuff, and it'll just show you all of their most recent posts that you haven't commented on yet. So that might be something to look at. But you need to grow your network, like 338, connections for the amount of work that you're doing at the moment. You need to make that bigger, and you could grow it by at least a couple hundred people a month. So if we look back in a year's time, should have well over 1,000 people, and it should just be, growing more and more. But having that foundation of, quality connections with people that are active on LinkedIn, eventually will just mean that you start to get a lot of inbound invitations. So you just need to push it a little bit at the start, and then you'll start to see results, because I think you're doing everything right. To be honest, it's just a matter of amplifying it and getting the word out there a bit more.
Okay, well that's good. That's really good to hear. And I've definitely since starting Monday Night Live been implementing what you've been saying. So every couple of weeks I'll be going in, adjusting things and whatnot. So it has changed a lot, even in 6 months. It's changed a lot, which is good. Do you think postings at the moment? I'm probably doing 3 posts a week, and 2 are going to be images with some sort of value, and then I'm hoping to keep videos going. So hopefully, I better not say it, hopefully every Friday a video will go up.
No,
And I'm going to test that out.
You've got to do it. You've got to do the video thing. It's huge at the moment. You seem very natural on camera, by the way. So I think it's going to be a good fit for you. At the moment, you can go bananas. It doesn't matter how many followers you've got. You could literally be getting, I mean, you could quite easily be getting 30, 40,000 views if you post consistently, but you have to do it once or twice a week. Otherwise, they're not going to push you into the mobile feed. That'll last for 6 months max. I mean, based on my experience with LinkedIn features, when they introduce something new, it's, you can hack it and get, more reach than you really would get otherwise, or you deserve for free, while there's not much competition and they're pushing the feature. About 6 months time, it'll be, more competitive, but I think video is huge for you. So, just don't let perfection get in the way of being good enough. I mean, at the end of the day, we judge our videos so much more than other people do.
So true.
It's something that we all have to get over. And sometimes it just means, not looking at it a second time and posting.
No, that's
easier said than done.
I had another one for you. So I know I'm aware of how different platforms work, social media platforms work, and I was wondering, is it a no to be scheduling posts? Does LinkedIn favor that, not favor that? What's the go?
That's a really good question. So traditionally, like in the past, it was quite clear that if you scheduled something for a third-party tool, that LinkedIn wouldn't give it as much reach. And I'm talking about back in the day, I think the main one was Hootsuite. So I experimented with it, and that's what I found. And so I decided to post natively. But these days, you can schedule posts on LinkedIn. So they've changed their tune on it. You are able to schedule posts, and it won't hurt your reach. Having said that, I tend to want to do it natively at the time. The main reason for that is just so that I'm there when it goes up, because what you want to do is make sure you're available to respond to comments within that first hour. I mean, it is helpful even if when you're doing the commenting on other people's content, if you did that an hour before you did your post, that would actually drive a lot of attention to it just because of the activity you're doing. A lot of people don't realize this, but the fact that, I commented on your post means that you're more likely to see my post, just because we've obviously got some sort of relationship, even if it's just the fact that I'm, connecting on commenting on a stranger's account. And it's the same with your DMs. Like if you're private messaging somebody, if they reply to your message, there's a strong chance that they'll see your content. So you can imagine how it works if you comment on somebody's post a couple of times, then you send them a connection request and say, hey, I love this post, let's connect. They accept the connection request, maybe even reply to you. There's a very, very high chance that they're going to see everything you post after that, at least, for the next few weeks while you're engaging with them. So it's very important that you're available to respond to comments when a post goes up. Now, if you're comfortable doing that by just setting a reminder, scheduling the post, that's totally fine. That works. I just prefer to do it manually because I know what I'm like, and I'll forget about it otherwise, and I won't reply to comments, and I'll be ghosting people.
No, cool. No, that's good to know, because so far I have been using the schedule, but obviously you get that notification from LinkedIn saying like in 24 hours your post will be up, etc.
Oh, cool. So, I've got a lot of my notifications off, would you believe?
But, okay.
I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Yes, there you go. I taught you something.
There you go. Where is your advantage over a VA? Well,
yeah, interesting question. So I operate as a hybrid. I operate a hybrid model. So although I am a personal assistant here based in Perth, which the plus side of that for my Perth, for business owners here is that if they would like assistance on site, if they want to have work sessions, if they'd like me to come into their office occasionally to have meetings with the team and to have that kind of in-person input, then I can. And I would say that probably 70% of my work is virtual, so it's done remotely. Still for businesses in Perth. It's just having, I think a lot of people feel that a little bit more comfortable if they have the opportunity to have someone in person. You can't beat that. You can't beat that in-person contact. So the VAs are quite a big term too. So VA you can be talking about overseas, you can be talking about here in Australia, you can talk about your city. So it's quite a broad title, I suppose.
Yeah, I've done both. In Melbourne, I had several VAs that were overseas, and I had VAs that were local as well. But it was great to be able to include them in, in-person training. Like I'd get them all to come into the office every couple of weeks for Friday afternoon, and we'd do training, and then we'd have a couple of drinks afterwards. And they did definitely feel like they were part of the full-time team. But the great thing about doing that way rather than having somebody casually is just because these guys are professionals doing it all the time, they can get up and running really quick. It doesn't take long. They know what questions to ask to get set up. So I had a really good experience with the VAs that I worked with in Melbourne. I spoke at the VA conference, would you believe? And and so I found all my team members that I worked with through that.
Cool. Awesome.
What's this question here? We've got a pretty active commenter here up in Phuket. Also, the fact that their positioning is important, as there are so many people on LinkedIn who set up a profile and then don't look at it again. You don't want to waste your time on them. Oh, that they're posting. Sorry, I read that as positioning. Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing that, if people aren't active on LinkedIn, there's no chance of them seeing your content. They'll see your private messages if you message them because it'll come through to their inbox. But if they're not active on LinkedIn, and they don't necessarily, just because they're not posting doesn't mean they're not active. But ideally, the people that will be engaging with your content are guys that are going to be on LinkedIn every day, and they're people that have got posts in the feed and they're replying to comments. So being able to narrow down by who posted in the last 30 days does make a big difference. Because you've got to, you think that it's great having 30,000 connections, and I've got 40-odd thousand followers, but a lot of those were built 7 or 8 years ago, and I have to go through all the time and try and work out which ones are active and which ones aren't, so I can get rid of the inactive ones and bring in active ones. Because you don't really want to use up all of your connections on people that aren't on LinkedIn and inactive. If that's your goal, is to build your brand and build your content, then you want them to be active so that they can see your content that day.
Yeah. Cool.
How long does I think you've got a potential buyer here. How long does it take you to understand a client's desires?
Yeah, okay. My onboarding process is that if I get an inquiry, I will schedule a discovery call with them, and in that discovery call, we work out if we're firstly a good fit, and work out what the business owner or director or whatnot, what their goals are. From their goals and working out if they already have a strategy to get there, then that's where I can come in and go, I can identify that I can do X, Y, Z to help that process happen, and take it from there. And there's always that, what do you want to call it, that teething period of getting to know one another, building that rapport, building that trust. Give or take, depending on how many hours they're engaging me for. Clients can engage me for 5 hours a month or 20 plus. It really, and that's going to affect how quickly we get to know one another. But being a PA for 10 years plus, serving licensees and directors in the property industry, you very quickly learn and pick up how to make their life easier. So you're always constantly looking at, what can I take off their plate? What can I take away that's not income generating for them? I'll take that away and I'll deal with it while they go and build, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, all right. Well, if we were to have a chat in 30 days, Storm, what would you have implemented? What would be happening?
Taking a focus on sending some messages out, some connection requests. I think I've been working on the commenting side of things from one of your previous Monday Night Lives, and I have been getting, actually got a new client out of it, to be honest. So thank you. I did get a new client out of that. So
well done.
that was working. So now I will try that and I don't know, in a month's time, what's realistic? How many more connections is realistic?
Well, I think, it depends how much effort you put in. You could quite easily do 200 new connections. If you like, so I don't know if I shared the conversion rate with you when I started implementing this commenting strategy. So I tested it on a client's account. They were getting 35% of people accept their connection request, which is it's not bad. Like it's above average, but it's not really up to my standards. Like I would expect it to be 50% really, if we're sending the right invitations and the profiles right. Anyway, so 35% conversion rate. I started doing strategic commenting with him before we send a connection request, and then it went to 88% almost immediately. So 88% of people that we were sending invitations to accepted, which that's as high as it gets. I mean, that's fantastic. Almost 9 out of 10 people accepting the invitation because he's built that little bit of rapport with them first. And now you can send at least 100 connection requests a week. You will need to upgrade to premium to send a customized connection request. If you want to get the, I've got a cramp in my foot. If you want to get the cheaper version, you get LinkedIn Korea.
Okay.
So search that up. That's only $45 a month or something.
Yep.
So that'll cover the connection requests, customization. You'll be able to send a few more invites out each month. If you want to go for the full shebang, Sales Navigator is expensive. It's like $120 a month or something crazy like that. And yeah, I do use it, but I think it is quite pricey for what it is. If you're thinking of getting it, I think they've got a deal where you can if you get referred by someone, you might get the first 2 months free or something. So let me know what you're thinking of. I'll be able to send you one of those links.
Cool.
But it's all right. Okay, well, we'll touch base in a month and we'll see how you're going, and we'll update everyone here on Monday Night Live.
Sounds great.
All right, thanks for being here, Storm.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nathaniel.
Okay, guys, there you have it. There's the LinkedIn hot seat. Let me know your feedback of today's episode. I hope that Storm and Jeff are going to go away and make some changes. I hope what I've shared with them has been beneficial to you guys as well. There's obviously lots of things that we could be doing on LinkedIn, but I think, focusing on where the opportunity is and where the problem is, and focusing your efforts on something that can make a real big impact can help a lot. It's about speed, right? The quicker that you can get to your goals, the better. And that means not focusing on, it means being focused, not doing everything, and focusing on the areas which can have the biggest impact. The Sales Navigator is $154 a month. Sorry. Well, there you go. It's getting really, really pricey. How many clients do you want? Can you deal with? My mum's up in Phuket asking questions. We've got to leave it there, guys. It's getting late. So thanks for being here. Next week on Monday Night Live, I can't remember exactly what we're doing. I think I've got a guest on, but you'll keep an eye out for the post. I'll be sharing about that soon. I've got so many guests lined up. I've got to make sure we allow time to do these one-on-one sessions as well. And the Q&A sessions, if you like them, I've got to hear your feedback. Let me know if you think they're valuable. We'll do more of them. And have a good Monday night. Thanks for being here, legends. And that's